Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Today we're going to be tackling the conflict in Gaza.
Yeah.
Specifically, we're looking at the role of international mediators.
Right?
And, well, one mediator in particular.
Qatar. Qatar.
They've been pretty instrumental in, well, trying to find some sort of peace
Some kind of resolution.
between Israel and Hamas, and they've just backed out.
It is kind of a surprise.
It is a surprise.
Especially when you consider that, well, Qatar has been a haven for Hamas leaders for years.
Right, they've been hosting their political offer.
Since 2006.
And now suddenly they might be asked to leave.
It does make you wonder what changed.
Yeah, like what happened?
Yeah.
Well, our sources point to a couple of things.
Okay.
First, it seems like both Israel and Hamas are just refusing to negotiate.
Not negotiating in good faith, it seems.
Yeah, good faith. But what does that even mean?
Well, good faith in negotiations implies that both sides are willing to compromise, right?
Okay, so you're actually trying to find some common ground.
Exactly. You're ready to make concessions.
You'll get a little.
You have to consider the other side's perspective.
Right.
But it seems like both sides are just stuck.
So are they not budging on anything specific?
It seems that way, yeah. Hamas has refused to release the hostages
Okay.
they're holding.
Even after proposals and agreements were put forward.
Yeah, multiple. And then on the other side, Israel seems insistent on maintaining a presence in Gaza.
So they haven't committed to a full ceasefire.
Right.
So they both want to have their cake and eat it too.
And one source even said that Qatar felt useless as a mediator.
Useless. Wow. I mean, what do they want from each side?
That's a good question. And unfortunately, the sources don't really give us specifics.
So we don't know exactly what their demands were.
Right. It's possible they felt like they were just stuck in a loop.
Presenting proposals? Them getting rejected?
Yeah, and no counteroffers.
So they just got to a point where it's like, why are we even here?
Yeah, seems like it.
Okay, so we have a stalemate.
Right.
Everyone's stuck in their corners. But then there's another layer to this.
Okay.
The pressure from the U.S.
Yeah.
It sounds like they've been pushing hard for Hamas to be expelled from Qatar.
It's in almost all the sources, yeah.
One U.S. official even said that Hamas leaders shouldn't be welcome.
In any country that's partnered with the U.S.
It's a pretty strong stance. Why are they pushing so hard?
Well, you have to remember, the U.S. has its interests in the region.
Okay.
It's possible they're frustrated with Hamas, especially with the hostage situation.
Right, especially after the execution of that American-Israeli hostage?
Exactly. It's hard to imagine them not applying pressure after that.
Yo, absolutely not.
But beyond the hostages, there are other reasons.
Like what?
This could be a way to isolate Hamas internationally.
To weaken their position.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, there's the incoming Trump administration.
Right, we don't know what they might do.
So we have Qatar stuck in the middle,
Yeah.
the U.S. applying pressure,
Uh-huh.
Israel and Hamas refusing to budge.
Yeah.
Where does that leave Hamas?
Well, the sources we have don't paint a clear picture.
So we're not really sure how they're reacting to this.
Right, some officials are denying they've even been asked to leave Qatar.
So they're just kind of like, we'll see what happens.
It seems that way. But it does raise a big question.
Which is?
If they are expelled, where do they go?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Where could they go?
Iran,
Okay.
Turkey,
Uh-huh.
Lebanon.
Each of those has a whole different set of implications.
Exactly.
Well, let's break that down.
Okay.
Starting with Iran, what would that look like?
Iran has been supporting Hamas, financially with training.
Right.
If they were to relocate there, it could signal a strengthening of their ties.
Okay, and would that change their stance at all?
Potentially, it could make them more hardline.
I see. So that would raise concerns for Israel and the U.S.?
Definitely.
What about Turkey?
Turkey has offered some support in the past.
Right, they've allowed some Hamas members to operate there.
Yeah, but if they become the new base of operations, it could strain Turkey's relationship with the U.S.
Because the U.S. views Hamas as a terrorist organization.
Right, and other Western allies do too.
So potential benefits for Hamas, but Turkey might lose some partnerships.
Exactly.
And Lebanon, what about that?
Lebanon is very complex, lots of different factions.
Okay.
And Hezbollah is there.
Another group many consider a terrorist organization.
Yes. So if Hamas relocates there, it could further destabilize the region.
And increase tensions with Israel.
Potentially, yeah.
So no easy answers for where Hamas might go.
Not at all, no.
Each option has its own risks and rewards.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely keep an eye on that. But let's talk about the bigger picture now.
Okay.
Qatar's out. They might be taking Hamas with them.
Right.
What does that mean for the conflict itself?
Well, I mean, most immediately, it means we've lost a key mediator.
Someone that had built a little bit of trust.
Yeah, and they had a track record of success.
So this is going to make things even harder.
Definitely. Yeah. A ceasefire, hostages, it's all more difficult now.
But it's not like there's a shortage of other players in this conflict.
It's true.
Will someone else try to fill that void now?
Absolutely. Egypt, for instance.
Oh yeah, Egypt.
They could see this as a chance to step up.
Increase their influence.
Yeah, exactly.
They have tried to broker deals between Israel and Hamas before.
Historically, yeah.
But it doesn't have to be a country, right?
No, not necessarily.
It could be an international organization.
It could be.
Or even like some other player that we haven't even thought of.
That's possible.
That's kind of a wild card. Who knows?
Yeah.
Speaking of Egypt, though,
Yeah.
one of our sources mentioned that they've been the main route for aid.
Getting aid into Gaza.
Yeah.
It's a tough situation.
They paint a pretty bleak picture. Apparently, those deliveries have been, like, really inconsistent.
Inconsistent at best.
And there's even talk of famine in the north.
It's a humanitarian crisis.
It is.
It's easy to get lost in all the politics.
Right, but at the end of the day,
But there are real people.
real people suffer.
They're already dealing with shortages, displacement, the threat of violence.
It's really sad. And with Qatar stepping back
Yeah.
and maybe taking Hamas with them,
It's hard to imagine things getting better.
is there any reason to think this might actually de-escalate the situation?
I mean, it's possible,
Okay.
but I wouldn't say it's likely.
Okay.
Losing a mediator like Qatar is a big setback.
They understood both sides.
Yeah, to some degree.
So if anything, it seems like this could make things worse.
The potential for escalation is definitely there,
Right.
especially for Hamas.
How so?
This could push them further into a corner,
Okay.
make them less willing to compromise.
So they double down?
Yeah, potentially. They might even become more extreme.
That's not good.
Not at all.
Did this change anything for Israel?
It's tough to say,
Yeah.
but they might see this as a sign of weakness from Hamas
Okay.
and an opportunity to apply more pressure.
Militarily.
Militarily, yeah.
Diplomatically.
Diplomatically, possibly.
So not a lot of optimism right now.
It's a difficult situation.
What about the role of the U.S. going forward?
Well, they're still a major player.
Right.
Their actions will have a big impact.
And with a new administration?
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see how they approach things.
we'll see.
This whole thing feels like a reset.
Kind of, yeah.
Qatar's out, Hamas is in limbo, the U.S. is, well,
They're asserting themselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where do we even go from here?
It's important to remember this conflict has a long history.
Right.
It's deeply rooted.
It's complicated.
It is. There are no easy solutions.
It's like a puzzle where the pieces keep changing.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But we can't just give up.
Right.
We need to understand why everyone's doing what they're doing.
What's motivating them?
Exactly.
Why is Hamas sticking to their demands?
Yeah.
What are Israel's goals?
Long term?
How does the U.S. see their role?
All of important questions.
And there's that big question mark.
Yeah.
Who's going to replace Qatar?
If anyone,
That's the big
and
thing.
if someone does step in, what will they do?
What approach will they take?
Yeah, will they try to pressure Hamas?
Or appease Israel?
Or will they actually try to find some kind of middle ground?
We just don't know.
This is a high-stakes situation
It is.
for everyone involved.
And for the entire region?
Yeah, this deep dive has really shown just how much is at stake.
Absolutely.
Not just for the people in Gaza,
And Israel,
but for everyone.
the whole region. It really does feel like we've just scratched the surface here.
Yeah, definitely.
It's such a fluid situation.
So many different things could happen.
Exactly. That's what makes it so, well, I guess, fascinating.
In a morbid sort of way.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we still have so many unanswered questions.
Like a lot of questions.
Will Hamas actually leave Qatar?
Right.
Who's going to replace Qatar in those mediation talks?
If anyone.
And what does it all mean for the people in Gaza?
Yeah, that's the biggest question.
They're the ones caught in the middle of this.
It's easy to lose sight of that
Absolutely.
when we talk about all the politics and strategy.
But at the end of the day, this is about people's lives.
Real people
Yeah.
trying to survive in a really tough situation.
And this whole thing with Qatar, it doesn't seem like it's going to make their lives any easier.
No, not really.
It's a tough situation.
It is.
And it's so easy to feel overwhelmed by it all.
Or even just apathetic.
Yeah.
But we can't do that.
We can't just ignore it.
No, we have to stay informed.
Ask questions.
Hold people accountable.
Yeah, those in power.
That's the only way things will change.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a really insightful conversation.
It has.
Qatar's decision to pull out of mediation It's had a huge impact. Major shockwaves.
Yeah, and the aftershocks are probably going to be felt for a while.
Absolutely.
It's been great having you on. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us for another deep dive.
Yeah, keep learning.
Keep those brains buzzing.
And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.